Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Peggy Smedley Show. I'm your host, Peggy Smedley. My next guest is joining me for one final interview in the series we've been doing around the workforce of tomorrow. She knows that companies in South Carolina and across the country need to be successful to create a place where workers are motivated and engaged for businesses if they want to thrive. Please join me in welcoming back Pamela Evette, Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina.
Thank you. This is great.
I've enjoyed our conversations, and I've learned so much, not only about your passion for helping the workforce of tomorrow, but your passion for this state as well. So I thought for this session, if you would, let's really talk about what you're doing and what you feel to do for this state and how we can help improve the employment record right here in South Carolina.
Well, you know, we're way under the national average for unemployment here in South Carolina. And so one thing that we're trying to do is reach out into sometimes our rural communities, not always, to get people who are not even on their radar that needed to be skilled up, whether it's with our technical colleges or secondary certifications, things like that, or just trying to gear them in. Maybe people that aren't on unemployment, right? So we're not seeing them in front of us, but maybe dropped out of high school. How do we reach them? How do we get them excited about getting their GED and really creating an environment where we're telling them we have opportunity for you out there? So it's been a big goal of our administration to really try to reach out to the people we aren't even on our radar yet. And how do we reach out to them and get them involved?
Does it make a difference that you have the military side here, that they come and go, but you have a chance to influence not only people who are here, but they move to other states. So you impact lots of people that are just not because they stay, they come, they go. But I mean, that's a powerful impact, I would think.
It is. And you know, the military, it's a huge bonus for us because people come to our state. We're so rich in resources, from the mountains to the coastline. I mean, South Carolina is a place to be. A lot of those military men and women come back to South Carolina once they retire, and they make an amazing workforce. So for one, we've tried to cultivate that. We've tried to make a very welcoming environment. We have taken the barriers down for in-state kind of college tuition discounts for our military that have retired and come back because they don't meet the threshold. They haven't been here 3 years. They haven't been a resident, but it's at no fault of their own, right? So they can use that with their GI Bills. We've removed those barriers. We have made it so there's no South Carolina state income tax on our veteran pensions. So, we're doing everything we can to get them to say, come to South Carolina. We're a military state. We know they make good workers, right? Because they have all those hardcore soft skills that we need, right? They're going to show up, they're reliable, they're on time, they care. So we're doing a lot in that military sector to get them to come back. I think they make great mentors too in the workforce for younger generations coming in, seeing that kind of work ethic. Can only create a really good worker alongside of them.
That discipline that they were taught and how they can pass it on. And it's something that is not easy to have that controlled discipline that they were taught.
Oh, it's not. That's the military. I was at Parris Island a few weeks ago, and it really did my heart good to see those men and women in boot camp there on Parris Island, and knowing that we really are in good hands, right? If we listen to the normal mainstream media, you would think that nobody cares about this country anymore. But I can tell you that patriotism is live and well on Parris Island.
So looking at that, thinking about what we have to do, so you have this idea of we want to keep growing in the state. We want to keep workers strong. But it's also about having the right technology to inspire the younger generation, because if we're not advancing technology, they're not interested. Exactly. And one of the things South Carolina said, we want to advance EVs. We want to be committed, and that's cutting edge technology if we can get it to go. Talk a little bit about why South Carolina is so committed to EVs.
We want to go wherever the world is going, right? If the world wants to go to electric vehicles, we want to be on the forefront of that as far as technology, bringing those good paying jobs here to South Carolinians. One thing you'll never see in South Carolina is you don't have a governor or lieutenant governor ever tell you what you should drive. But if the world wants to drive these vehicles, well, by God, we want to make them right here. And we want that revenue to come right back into our state. Again, that is a lot of technology, so We're really making sure that our world-class technical colleges are equipped to create that workforce that will work on those cars. And kind of the R&D to make sure that we're progressing them, because it's new. So they're going to constantly evolve and get better, and we want that research to happen here. So if the production is happening here, we're hoping the research will happen here too.
So we're talking about being able to have cutting edge technology, cleaner environment, talking also about manufacturing. So you're cutting all of those nice nuggets there. How do you then get the training for all of this that we just talked about? Are you hoping the companies that you inspire to come here to make those cars or to manufacture other things, that they're also going to be the ones that train the next generation of all of these things?
I think there is a lot of training that goes on the job training, right? We can skill up workers. South Carolina, what we do here, it really is cutting edge. There have been times that we have had a manufacturer that have wanted to come to South Carolina and needed us to train a workforce. We will send an entourage over, let's say, to Germany and look at what the process is, come up with a curriculum, bring it back here and start training workers specifically for them while they're building brick and mortar. That is not something that happens, and we collaborate between commerce, our four-year institutions, and our technical colleges. We believe as a state we will all sink or swim together. We are excited about all the different ways people can get a degree. We talked a little bit about that offline. There are some people that cannot get to school every day because they have to work an 8-hour job. And then they might not be able to get to school at 5 o'clock, to start those night classes, because they have responsibilities. They have kids to pick up at daycare. They got homework to help with. They got meals to cook. So that's why online schools become a big deal. We want to make sure that we have enough options here in our state to meet individuals where they are, to let them keep evolving, right? I don't believe that learning stops, even after college. I believe as people, we should want to learn all through our life. And so finding those things, I am right now looking at doing some online work, getting a leadership master's degree, and figuring out how does that fit into my schedule. So I don't think that just comes for people who are sitting in the manufacturing world. It's in a world like mine, right, where my schedule isn't the same every day, and I still have a 16-year-old, my youngest at home that I want to spend time with. Like, how do I fit that in my world? And so I see firsthand how everybody needs to try to fit these things in their world. And it does become hard, but if you really want it, where there's a will, there's a way. Isn't that the old adage?
So the saying is you want to drink your own champagne.
That's
so if
right.
you're going to do it, so.
That's right. So you just have to figure it out. And I just want to make sure that here in South Carolina, we take down the barriers so that anybody that wants to excel their life, anybody who wants to reinvent themselves, anybody who wants, that we have resources for them. And that's the key, because when you have hope, you have everything. And I think as long as we keep letting people have hope in tomorrow and in the vision of the future that they want, as long as we can offer that to them, then we will kind of keep people moving along their career journey.
Looking at that, do you expect some kind of solid growth, moving in the right direction, that journey, innovation, invention, creation, having grace, all the things we talked about? What is it that your hope is for the growth for the future?
So I just hope that we all come together. We talked about it in our last episode, where we have this them against us mentality, or me against the world mentality, and realize that whether it's in our homes, our businesses, or our schools, we are all on this journey together, right? Let's have grace. Let's keep working with each other. Let's help lift up each other. I think that's how we'll continue to excel. Becoming proud in what we do, putting, country out there, right? Like, be proud of where we are and that we have so many ways to be whoever we want to be in our country, right? My grandparents came here and told us, you could be whatever you want to be as long as you're willing to work hard enough to do that, right? And I think that's the piece we lose in the American dream now. It's that, how hard are you willing to work? Nothing's going to be handed to you. Nothing worth having is not worth working for. And so getting back to those grounded principles that made us this amazing country that we are, and getting people passionate about whether it's what we produce, how we treat each other, the way we treat our environment. I think it all goes together. It's that saying, the three legs of the stool, right? They all have to be in balance, or we have a rocky future ahead.
I use a lot when I write, telling people nothing happens without a dream. Do we want our people to understand that this is what's driving growth? You have to really want it, and you have to work hard for it, that you just said. But it takes everyone. It's in tandem to do it, but it's not going to be easy. And so that driving growth is South Carolina is committed to helping you, and you're not out there alone. Do they need to understand that?
They do need to understand that. We have, like I said, we have an abundance of resources to help people achieve the dreams that they want. If they find that they're stuck in an entry-level position that they can't get out of, we're here for you. You just have to reach out to us, right? We're sitting here ready and waiting to help every South Carolinian move up, find a job that they've always wanted, skill up. Our technical colleges are there. We have dedicated money and resources to getting people in those colleges, because we know that we have, again, 90,000 jobs looking for employees. We need to get our kids working, because as we're skilling everybody up, we're leaving a void. And that void in those entry-level jobs needs to be filled with youth employment, getting those soft skills that companies need, understanding what it's like to earn a paycheck and the rewards of that, right? So my son Jackson, in our home last year when he got his first major job, he started to look at everything he wanted. When mom and dad were buying it, they were only $200 tennis shoes. But when Jackson was buying it with his money, do you know how many hours I have to work to get these? It gives kids a real world perspective, right? So, my dad used to have us work backwards. He was a tool and die maker. He worked hard for his money. He wanted to send us to college if that's where we wanted to go, but we had to tell him what we wanted to do. And then he would back that into the lifestyle that we always talked about wanting. And it was like, it's kind of like we said, you need to be realistic on what you want. Is that gets you where you want to be? Because if it doesn't, you're going to find out that thing you love, you now don't love, because it can't afford you to do the things you like to do. So, giving kids this realistic idea that, if you want to live in $1 million house on the lake with a boat, this is the career path you're going to have to, this is what every profession earns. So you have choices, make choices that get you to where your goals. Don't be frustrated with the system and mad at everybody else because you made choices that didn't get you to your goals.
Is it hard to understand the goals at this point? Because in our early conversation, we said we're still all trying to learn what those are. Mm-hmm. For example, we talk about now EVs. If we tow an EV, it breaks down. A tow truck driver has to learn how to move that car differently, that it's not towed the same way. Insurance agents have to be trained differently now because there's things different. We don't need as many, and less want to be in the industry, but we still need them. If there's a major car accident, you don't want to talk to an AI person. You want to talk to somebody who has empathy when something tragic's happened. So there's all these different things we have to think about. So what do we kind of get different people to understand? You said an older generation, those are perfect types of, positions like insurance or things like that. How do we get people to understand we haven't eliminated everything, we're reshifting the way we have to think about employment in our state and things like that? I think there's a lot of movement right now. I feel like we're at a chess game right now.
I know. You can look at it as an exciting time too, right?
Yes.
Because everything is changing and evolving. I think that's where we count on our associations so much, right? As they see the market moving, when I'm out at chamber or commerce functions, you see those associations rallying and trying to figure out what do they have to do, how do they have to move that on, where are we going with it? I think those are big things, right? Keeping them involved, that's how everything's going to change. Nothing changes all at once, so there is time as things are moving to make change in those complementary industries, right? Like you said, if you're building an EV car, everything else starts to change around that. But that is all paced. So I think that's really good. I think keeping everybody involved, public-private partnerships is the key. Government can't do it all. I'm telling you, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. If you're waiting for government to solve your problem, you got a long wait. Because there's a lot of problems we're trying to solve, and we shouldn't be trying to fix everything. And we really should let innovation happen in the private sector, right? That's where it happens. I'm a big believer in small government. We should take care of the things that are in our lane and stop trying to get into the lane of business. So I think giving way to the barriers that have been created over the years is going to make industry flow. It's going to be creating the jobs of tomorrow, and it's going to make all these great things that have happened all through our history come about if we get out of their way.
We also have all these things that are happening with manufacturing environments. You have to think about circularity, and they have to think about sustainability. Are all of these things also what we have to be thinking about as new jobs, or that's just all going to move along the same way? Is it something we got to focus on right now?
I think, we talk a lot about ESGs now. I mean, you hear that, it's a buzzword, it's everywhere. And I mean, for the record, that's not something I'm for. Right? I think it's going to push people into areas that they don't want to be in. I think what I was taught as a child is when you work hard, you will keep moving up. I think we should have equality when it comes to the start line, but how you get to the finish line is all what you put into it, right? I say this when I talk to women all the time. We want to make sure we have a seat at the table. It doesn't mean we have to take it. We just want to make sure we're always invited. South Carolina, I was asked once if I thought it was a sad thing that we were ranked like 47th in the country for women that sit in political office. And I said no, because we're ranked number 4th in the country at women own, run, and led businesses. This is not a job that most women want to jump into, obviously. We've seen that over the years. There's lots of opportunity. I think sometimes we get mad at the fact that we're not in these positions, but we're not really coming to the table either. So I just want to make sure that in whatever environment there is out there, whether it's in the private or the public sector, that we have equality of opportunity. But outcome, we start to realize, is all based on what you want to put in. It's what I tell my children. If you want to be something, you got to put the work in, and you'll get there. And I believe that this whole model of ESG is going to go to the wayside. I'm hoping it's a trend that they're hoping to take root, but that we really get back to the hardcore principles about working hard. Because when we put barriers like that in, we will kill small and medium-sized businesses.
So we have to be thinking about what's best for business. Exactly. And if we have to think about what's best for everything else around us, we're going to be okay. So looking at what advice would you give companies now? If we think about employment, where do you see them now for the state? Because it's always about as we start thinking about the future, what do you want them to know? Is it about their workers? Is it about women? Is it about everything the next gen? Where do you want them to think about most?
I think it's about all of us, right? The world is your playground. I mean, embrace everybody, which I think we really are doing. I mean, I don't see employers look for quality employees. I don't think they care what shape or form that comes in. They just want people that are good workers, that'll show up at work, that are respectful, that do their job, right? That's the beauty of a thriving economy. And in South Carolina, we have a thriving economy. That's not the way it is everywhere, but it is here. And when you have everybody competing for the same employees, I say if you're an employee and you're somewhere and you're just not happy because you don't think you're being treated well, there's probably 10 other jobs just down the road for you. And that's the beauty of it. I see some of our businesses getting creative, reaching out to sectors of our workforce that they may never reach out to. We have a workman's cycle in Myrtle Beach, right? They came here from New York because they didn't like the way they were being treated. And what they did is they counted on the deaf community to be somebody that they focused on to hire as employees with very small modifications within their shop. Now, you only have that kind of reach out and people getting creative on their workforce when they're looking everywhere to find quality employees. The beauty of having a thriving economy. And that is it in the best example I could give you. A lot of those individuals believe that if we had hundreds and thousands of people looking for a few jobs, they would probably not be sought out like they were and the workman cycle did. So I just can't say enough. I want our businesses to get more involved in mentoring, because that's how we're going to create the best workforce of tomorrow. They need to get involved, work with us. We want them on our boards. We want them on commissions. We want your ideas, right? Work with our technical colleges to tell us what you need. I know our technical schools will go out, and if you're looking for welders, they want to know, what kind of metals are you working on? Is there something we're not doing with our graduates that are coming out that you need us to do? We're constantly interacting from a state level with our employers. Employers feel free. I hope we've created an open door policy where employers feel free to come to us and to come to our educational institutions and make sure that we're really looking at that, that we're giving them what they need, that we're educating and schooling up the workforce that they want. But get involved in the game. We're here, and we're wanting to listen and wanting to work with you.
It's easy to say they can't find the skills that they need, the workforce. It's a lot harder to actually step up and do something. And they have the opportunity to do something and help find those workers, correct?
They do here. They can work with due. We had the lowest unemployment rate, one of the lowest in the country pre-COVID. We're now well under the national average for unemployment. So that means we have to be creative. We have to make sure that we're either attracting people into our state that already have the skills, and that we're schooling them up. Like with our teachers, there's a teacher shortage. So what did we do proactively? Why aren't teachers staying? We have these great universities that are turning them out. Well, could be making more in Georgia or North Carolina, our neighbors to the north and south. Well, what do we need to do? We need to make sure we keep them here 2 years in a row, upping their salary, making sure that we were one of the highest paid states for new teachers on the East Coast, right? So we continuously are looking for ways to grow talent and keep it, and attract talent from other places because of all the wonderful things we have to offer here.
It's been exciting. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, I've enjoyed this conversation, these episodes we've had together. I hope we can do this again.
We will.
Where can we tell everyone to go to learn more about what you're doing and what your goals are for the worker of the future?
Well, they can reach out to me on now X, right? You can't say Twitter anymore, it's X.
Right.
I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. Look up Pamela Evette. You'll see me, there's flags behind me, it's hard to miss. And please reach out, follow me. Every place I'm going all week long, I talk about all the wonderful things that are happening right here in our state. And I try to give out educational things when we're doing things with DO or things are happening with our technical colleges. So use me as a resource. Always email me. If you email my office at pamevette@governor.sc.gov, you can find me online through the governor's website. Tell us what you need. If you're an employer, come and reach out. Get on a board. Let us help you do that. A lot of appointments coming out of this office.
Thank you again.
Thanks so much, Peggy.
Okay, listeners, that is all the time we have for this segment. Make sure to share and subscribe to our episodes each week. Share your thoughts with me on X at Connected World, or follow me on LinkedIn, or check out our website at connectedworld.com, or show website at thepeggysmedleyshow.com. This is the Peggy Smedley Show, your voice for our connected world. And remember, with great technology comes great responsibility.